Yo guys, welcome to the 5th round of Raven's tournament. This time I'm up against Tyrant. I already played this guy 2 times before, and in all his matches he brought the same defense, of course, with the same sets. So if I do see them now, like I do see in all those games, he did bring the Clefable, Blissey, Skarmory core. The previous game he did have the Starmie and the Blissey. Only the Arcanine is new. So I pretty much know all his sets right away, so it really puts me in an advantage, and I think Crobat and Tyranitar are going to put in so much work against this team. And I also see that he doesn't have any ground types, so he has nothing to block my Volt Switch. So I think this game is really in my favor. Let's lead off with Tyranitar, since it can taunt everything and pretty much beat everything 1v1 except the Clefable. Okay, he does lead off with Sableye. Sableye cannot use Will-O-Wisp because the Prankster ability doesn't work. Basically, a status move combined with the Prankster ability does not work on a Dark type Pokemon. So he cannot Will-O-Wisp me. He cannot use any status move directed on Tyranitar. So I pretty much get up to 3 Stealth Rocks as he does go for Will-O-Wisp. So now he finds out that Dark types are not affected by moves that are directed to them combined with the Prankster ability. So at this point I'm just gonna go for the Crunch, because he might bring in his Skarmory now, or he might stay in and go for something like Knockoff, because that's also a set that he could run. He does go for Knockoff, but I do not care, because I do not need leftovers really. But now I'm just gonna use Toxic in case he decides to go for Recover here, because if he switches out now, Sableye will be very low the next time comes in, especially after Stealth Rocks damage. But he actually decides to bring in his Skarmory. That's also not a problem for me, because I can just taunt it, and I know this Skarmory has counter as his only attacking move, so I can just taunt it. And now he actually used Toxic, but now he's most likely gonna go for a counter, expecting me to go for Crunch or something. So I'm just gonna bring him a Raikou, and if he does go for counter, I pretty much get a free Volt Switch off. He does go for counter, so Volt Switch will definitely be used by me now. And yeah, his most likely switch will probably be his Blissey, but Blissey has to take Stealth Rocks damage and Choice Specs Volt Switch damage. And if he does bring in his Blissey, like he does, I'm so psychic, man, I'm so psychic. Look at the Stealth Rock damage and the Volt Switch damage, because now I can bring in my Crobat and I can actually press taunt. So Blissey won't be able to heal, and he's most likely has to switch out here. So, and every time, I can pretty much repeat this every time. Every time my Raikou comes in and presses Volt Switch, he has to bring in his Blissey. And then once he brings in Blissey, I can just bring in Crobat and press taunt, so that he cannot heal and basically has to switch out. But let's see what he does now. He should know that my Crobat has taunt. I didn't use it the last time I faced him, I think. So he might not know that I have taunt. I did use it in the first game I faced him, but then I used a different set. Okay, he does decide to go into Clefable, but Clefable is not a counter, man. Even I know this Clefable has T-Bolt, but T-Bolt should not be able to 2-hit KO me, so I'm just gonna go for Toxic, because I saw that he lost Stealth Rocks damage, and I knew from the previous games too that this guy uses an unaware Clefable. So I can just poison it, and it's taunted, so if it does have aromatherapy, then he cannot use it. So he does go for T-Bolt, he gets a crit. But anyway, I can just roost it off, and I will, if he goes for T-Bolt again, the T-Bolt will be neutral damage. It will not be super effective, because I lose my flying typing because of roost. And I can basically stall this Clefable out. This Clefable cannot do anything against my Crobat. So let's see what happens. I go for Roost, he goes for T-Bolt, and he gets another crit. Come on, man. Come on. The crit, the Hex Gods want me to lose, man. But yeah, anyway, I'm just gonna Roost again. He's still taunted, so he pretty much has to go for T-Bolt or he has to switch. If he switches, then Crobat is full, but nothing on his team beats my Crobat really. Like, even if this Clefable gets 2+1, my Crobat will still stall it out because of Roost. So I go for Roost, as he does go for the T-Bolt, expecting me to go for the taunt. And now I can just press taunt again, and yeah, he pretty much has to switch out now. But nothing on his team likes to be taunted, especially the Skarmory, because it only has counter resist attack. So now again, I can just bring in my Raikou. He might go for counter again, expecting me to go for Brave Bird, trying to 1v1 it, but Raikou is just so free. He does go for counter, and again I can just go for Volt Switch, and if he does bring in his Blissey again, then I can just bring in my Crobat and pretty much rinse and repeat. Just go for taunt. It won't be able to heal, and it pretty much has to switch out, and then it will lose Stealth Rock damage the next time it comes back in. Pretty much like the Skarmory, because Skarmory has to switch out now, because if it stays in it will die, but if it switches out, then he will lose Stealth Rock's damage again. And we know this Skarmory is Shed Shell, because it was Shed Shell in the previous games, and he doesn't show leftovers, so we pretty much know. I could bring in my Garchomp now, but then I have to rely on hitting the Fire Blast on Skarmory, because Fire Blast still misses, so I think Crobat is still the correct play. I can just taunt it. Nothing on his team appreciates the taunt. And Blissey cannot 1v1 me, so let's see what he does, because he cannot heal. Maybe he will try to attack me, but even if he has Psychic, Psychic won't 2-hit KO me. And Flamethrower or Ice Beam just do not do enough to me. And Seismic Toes, yeah, Seismic Toes can never crit, so I can always roost it off. Anyway, I'm just gonna go for the Brave Bird now, just to get some damage off, and after this I will roost. This actually does a great amount of damage, and this actually puts him in range of a second Brave Bird, but I do not want to go for Brave Bird now. Let's just go for Roost. He is taunted anyway, so he cannot use any status moves, because if I go for Brave Bird I will definitely kill him, but then he could bring in his Clefable, and then maybe he did teach his Clefable T-Wave, and then my Crobat would be in a rough spot, because then it's either him predicting my taunt or Roost, and if I go for taunt as he goes for T-Bolt, then Crobat dies, and if I go for Roost as he goes for T-Wave, then Crobat is paralyzed and becomes very useless. But yeah, he does decide to bring in the Skarmory on my taunt, and now I'm just gonna Roost it off actually, just because my Crobat is so important, and Skarmory cannot do anything besides going for counter, so he's most likely gonna switch anyway, expecting me to taunt as he brings in his Sableye. The Tyranitar is basically here to deal with the Sableye, because I can always bring it in on the Sableye. My item is already lost, so his knockoff will even do less damage, and he cannot do anything besides knocking off on Tyranitar. He can go for recover now, but then I would just go for I think I'll just go for, let's just go for Toxic. I could crunch there, but if he brings in Skarmory, like if he stays in, then this thing gets poisoned, but if he brings in Skarmory I can just taunt it afterwards, and my Tyranitar is healthy enough to live a Choice Specs Surf from the Starmie. Yes, the Starmie is Choice Specs, I'm pretty sure of it, because it was Choice Specs in the previous game. And Tyranitar, this time I did add the EVs on my Tyranitar, so Tyranitar will definitely live a Choice Spec Surf. So going for Toxic here is probably the right play, because if he brings in anything else, it will get poisoned besides Skarmory, and Skarmory will just get taunted, and then I will just bring in Raikou probably again. But let's see what he does. He does go into his Arcanine, so Arcanine actually takes Stealth Rocks damage. And now he gets poisoned if I hit it. I do hit it. And now I can just bring in my Slowbro. Like, that's all I need my Slowbro for this Arcanine. Because Slowbro can still take 2 wild charges if he goes for it. But let's see. Does go for wild charge. And that's actually life orb damage, so Slowbro's bulk is so fucking crazy. Yeah, he lost a lot of health now. And yeah, if he switches out now, he will die to Stealth Rocks the next time it comes in. So I'm just gonna go for the slack of expecting him to go for the wild charge, but he decides to switch out. Not sure why. We know the Starmie is most likely choice specs, and I do not need my Slowbro anymore because his Arcanine is pretty much dead. So I'm just gonna stay in now, because I do not need to bring in my Tyranitar or risk anything else. I don't need Slowbro anymore. He is expendable. So let's just go for Psyshock and see what he does. If he goes for T-Bolt, I can bring in my Raikou and go for Volt Switch. If he goes for any other attack, then Slowbro will resist the attack. So let's see what he actually does. So he does go for Surf, predicting me to switch out. But yeah, I don't really need my Slowbro. Even if he killed me with T-Bolt, it wouldn't have mattered. Even though I don't think my Slowbro would have died to T-Bolt from there. But anyway, he has to switch out because he's not gonna win this 1v1. Because I can slack off and he cannot. He brings in the Skarmory. I decided to go for Psyshock just in case he brought in his Blissey, because Psyshock does physical damage. But yeah, now I'm gonna bring in my Raikou, expecting him to either roost or set up, or go for Toxic, or set up the Stealth Rocks. So let's see what he does. He does go for Toxic and he misses. Yeah, that is unfortunate, but I do not really care, because as long as he does not have anything to kill my Raikou, because he has his Starmie, but Starmie is not. I'm not gonna let my Raikou 1v1 the Starmie anyway. So he does bring in his Sableye, and now I'm just gonna go for T-Bolt because Blissey will die. Will be 2-hit KO'd after Stealth Rocks. So T-Bolt was the correct play. Sableye goes down, and now he might go into his Starmie, but I'm pretty sure Raikou can live a Surf or even a Psyshock. But yeah, I do not want to risk the crit here. He might crit me and then I might die. So I'm just gonna bring in Slowbro again. Slowbro, I do not need it. So if he does end up killing my Slowbro, it's not a problem. But then he really has to go for T-Bolt. And he goes for Psyshock, so I'm just gonna go for Psyshock again. Basically pressuring the Blissey, because he might bring in his Skarmory again. And now he takes Stealth Rocks damage and Psyshock damage. But now I made this play too much now. I brought in my Raikou too much, so I'm just gonna bring in my Crobat. He might make a crazy double, but even if he roosts there, I can just taunt again. And I can always kill the Skarmory. It's not a threat. He does decide to bring in his Starmie, and yeah, in the face of Crobat, Starmie with that amount of health will definitely die to Brave Bird. So he either has to sack something else, or he has to sack the Starmie here. So let's see what he decides to do. Because Brave Bird is definitely killing from here, and I do not really need to make another play. There's no reason to overpredict here. So yeah, he's really in a rough spot, but I really think that I'm going to 6-0 this guy, because his sets, he doesn't change up his sets, so he's using the same sets. And once you play against someone who's really skilled, like myself, I do not want to brag. No, I'm kidding. Then, and if he knows your sets, then you really have a hard time. So now I'm just gonna go for Taunt. He might go for T-Bolt, but that will not 2-hit KO me. So yeah, a tip for Tyrant is really to change up his sets or change up his Pokemon, not keep using the same defensive core. Because every time I will face you, it will get easier for me if you're using the same Pokemon. Because I pretty much know your set, so I pretty much know what to expect most times. Anyway, he brings in his Arcanine. Arcanine goes down. And yeah, basically nothing on his team can really 1v1 my Crobat. Starmie gets killed by Brave Bird. And the Blissey and Clefable gets stalled by Crobat. So I think it's pretty much over. Tyrant decides to forfeit here. I understand why he does that, because there was really no way he could have came back from that. So that was basically the 4th round. Yeah, that was the 4th round. So I hope you guys liked the battle. I think I really played that game really clean. But yeah, see you guys in the next video for the 5th round, aka the semifinals.